Hi, fellow humaning on this space ball called Earth. I thought I would make videos again, and one of my ideas I had was to make videos exploring what we can do with our bodies. And I don't mean like jumping from building to building, or running across the desert, or swimming across the ocean, or bending our bodies into circus level contortions, or lifting a heavy weight above our heads, or any particular sport related jumping far, whatever it is. It's more smaller explorations where we explore what you already have the capacity to do, or what I already have the capacity to do, that we may not be aware that we have. Smaller explorations like how we already can move, and what are the ways that we don't typically move in life that is actually available to us within what is comfortable, and finding out what that comfortable range is and expanding that, and trying to understand what different sensations might be, like what feels uncomfortable, and how to negotiate comfort and discomfort, and being able to label more different sensations in our body. And these explorations will be with touch therapy or meaningful touch explorations, and also movement or mind body awareness explorations, where we use sensation to map our body and see what's there already. One more thing that I thought that this would be helpful with is to get us to be able to check in with our bodies before it starts to scream, which tends to be the case whenever I used to see clients who were in pain. It took their bodies being, a bit more aggressive with telling them, hey, I'm trying to tell you something, please listen to me, screaming, before their bodies could be listened to. And one of the ways we can start to listen to our bodies better is through mapping our bodies and checking in, and having the skills and tools to be able to check in with ourselves before things get too loud, when it's only a whisper, or our bodies are like, hey, I think you might want to check this out. Something's going on here. And then figure out what we need to do for ourselves from there, when we're like, oh, seems like something is going on here. This might be what, maybe I might need this. The more we know ourselves and our bodies, the better we can give ourselves what we need. So I thought this would help with that. So the first part of this exploration that I thought I would do is our hands and our wrists, to explore our hands and our wrists. And we use our hands and our wrists every day, so often. We use them to hold our phones, we use them to, a lot of us, do work on the computer, or whatever leisurely activity we like to do on the computer, open close doors, pour water, cook, pet our pets, touch loved ones. And we may not really, not that we don't, some of you might think about them all the time, but we may not really think about how often we use our hands and wrists, and how we're using them, and how we might feel while using them. And that's fine. Like, we can't be going through life like thinking about how we open the door all the time, or thinking about how we hold our phone. But I thought this would be a great way to show appreciation to our hands and our wrists, that we use all the time. I use my hands and wrists a lot. I do body work, I work out, I do boxing, not as much as I like to now, but I do all sorts of various things with my hands and my wrists, and sometimes they do get quite tight and sore. And I thought this would be an opportunity for me to check in and tap in with how they're doing. So I thought I'd make this video. And you can join if you would like to follow me on this journey of exploring your hands and your wrists too. All right, let's go. Ikimashio. All right. Hi, you. This is Voice of Acacia, here to walk you through some intentions. So, why intentions? Because the same movement done with a different intention creates very different sensory experiences. And we're going to see what that means now by doing an exploration. So place one hand on a surface and begin to make contact with that hand with your other hand, with the intention of pushing and digging in. Really push and dig into your hand. And just notice what that feels like to make contact with your hand in this way, to touch your hand in this way. Then you reset and you begin to make contact with your hand again, now with the intention of sinking into it slowly. So make contact and then sink slowly. And you can move back and forth between pushing and digging and sinking slowly, and just notice what that feels like, if there is a difference. And here are some questions you can ask yourself. What did you notice? Was there a difference? And if there was a difference, what felt different? There are no right or wrong answers for these questions, just guides for you to be able to observe what's going on. And with how we approach this exploration, it would be great if we could explore the next few things with the same curiosity and patience that we had in this last exploration, if there was. And that's because being listened to is nice and stuff, and we could be the people who give ourselves that. You can feel free to explore the same activity with your own cues and add what is uniquely your own. You can start with my cues as inspiration and then build your own experience from there. And of course, you can stop and pause this exploration whenever you wish. It will be here for you to come back to if you ever want to, and if you don't, that's totally fine. Not gonna look for you or anything like that, you know. And all the activities I show are done on one hand, so feel free to repeat them on both. It can be interesting to observe the differences between hands, or, on the same hand before and after the activity. All right, we're about to go into the explorations. Let's go to the first one. Chapter 1, Saying Hi to Your Hands. In this first activity, we're going to place our hand on a surface again, and we're going to stroke that hand with the other hand from the base of the palm all the way to the fingertips. Take your time to do this, and if you need to, you can pause this video to move through the hand a few times if you need to. Really take your time with this, because here we're waking up the hands. And in this last bit here, I just used my whole hand to smoosh over the hand. So here are some questions you can think about. What did you notice about your hands? What sensations stood out? And how did it feel to touch your own hand with the intention to listen? Some of the things that you can do is notice the texture of your hand, or notice the shapes and softness or hardness that you feel in your hands. Notice what feels like different types of tissue, muscle, bone, If you want, you can flip your hand over at your nails or the skin on that side of the hand and see how that feels different. And something you can play around with also is listening with the hand that is receiving the sensation. And notice what sensations come up and how it feels like to listen with that hand. And you can also touch that hand with the intention to listen with the other hand. So listening with the doing hand and listening with the receiving hand, and noticing what it feels like to listen with both, or either one first. Feel free to repeat the explorations with these questions and these cues in mind now. Chapter 2: Textural Exploration. In this exploration, I choose a sheet on top of a Pilates mat. And what I'm feeling is the texture of the sheet and also how it interacts with the Pilates mat underneath, with both sides of my hands, feeling the roughness, softness of the sheet, different folds that appear as I move my hand, and noticing the relationship between my fingers and between my fingers and my palm, and also how my wrist feels when I rotate and twist and tug on the sheet in different ways with my hand. Over here, I'm just pressing down on the sheet and twisting on top of the sheet. What I'm sensing is the sensation of my wrist and also the interaction between the sheet and the mat. And then I'm just doing spreading movements and grouping movements with my fingers to see what that feels like in the musculature of my hand or the sensations in my hand. And I'm just repeating this twisting on the back of my hand as well. Feel free to try this out and come up with your own. Alright, the next part, you need to grab a cushion or a soft toy or pillow. And that's because we're going to be touching the cushion, soft toy, and pillow and feeling the texture inside and what it feels like to interact with something soft. So you're just going to feel the surface texture first and then start pushing into the cushion or soft toy, and then feeling with both sides of your hands or even the side of your hand, and feel what it's like to squeeze and grab with your hand and how that feels like in your fingers and how that feels like in your hand and your wrist. Here I'm just feeling the surface texture with different parts of my hand and also feeling what it's like to push down with different positions of my hand. Alright. Over here we have more questions like, what did it feel like to focus on feeling how textures interact with your hands? And what do you notice about your relationship with your hands now, if it changed or not? It's the last chapter, chapter 3, relationship with shapes and weights. Grab the same cushion or soft toy you used just now. I'm using Pusheen, and we're going to try and balance this object like you're balancing a tray, and rotate from the wrist to try and see what it feels like to balance an object in different wrist positions with the palm open. I'm just sensing that through my hand, and then I try balancing it on my fingertips and jostle it around to try and feel the relationship between my fingertips, hand, wrist, and all the way through my arm. Twisting it around again, and then I try and spin it like how I used to spin textbooks in primary school, and that didn't work out too well. And then I try and balance it on the back of my hand this time, still balancing it like a tray and jiggling it or jostling it around to feel how my hand and wrist accommodate the weight shifts in the object. Alright, and then I thought, why not add another object? And I place it above the object and I jiggle it around again just to notice what it feels like to have two objects balancing on top of each other and how my hand has to accommodate that, or how the jiggling feels through my hand into my arm. All right, next part. Okay, for this next part, you're going to need a ball and a wall. And you're going to place the ball in between your hand and the wall. And try and find different ways to navigate and maneuver the ball between your hand and the wall. Feeling the different parts of your hand interact with the ball and what it feels like to push into the ball, into the wall with your fingers, the side of your hand, the base of your palm, maybe the back of your hand as well. And you can move through each finger, seeing how that feels like. Use different pressures to push into the ball. And yeah, just play around with it and see how it feels. Here are two questions you can think about now, if you would like to. What are you noticing about your hands now? And how do they feel different from the beginning of this video? And just sense into your hand and see what it feels like to relate to it now. How much of it can you sense? And how it feels like to move your hand now. Does it feel more easeful, less easeful, different in whatever way, whatever sense word or metaphor you can come up with? It could be like, oh, it feels like a cloud or something like that. Whatever comes to you, just let it come to you and just notice how that feels like. Okay. Hi, once again. Welcome back from the explorations. This is the bye-bye time of the video. This is the outro part. I thought I would end the explorations or close out with exploring one last thing, which is an everyday movement that we do and just seeing how it goes. So what I'm going to do is drink water from my water bottle, and what I'm going to do is squeeze, exaggerate the gripping of my water bottle, and then reduce the amount of grip that I have on my water bottle to the point of just enough to keep my water bottle in my hand. Then I'm just going to take a drink. Because hydrating is nice after all of that. And that's it. You can pick whatever everyday movement you want to do, and just see how it goes, see how it feels, see if there's anything that's changed, anything different, anything new you feel. And throughout your day after doing all of these little mini explorations, notice how you feel in your body, and well, just notice how you feel right now compared to in the beginning of the video, and see if you feel any different. Yep. I hope this has helped you in some way. If you made it till this part of the video, thank you so much for watching this video, for sticking it through. That sounds bad. For joining me on this journey, embarking on this journey with me on exploring our hands and our wrists. I hope this has been helpful to you in some way. And if it has, then I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Till next time.